they're actually winning those fights as well. Unfortunately, after that, they weren't always able to convert that into a full-on map win, but it's something that, you know, has proved successful. It's something that was actually successful just in last series with Bazaar, so that discipline is there for this team.
On the other side of things, take a look at Hong Kong Attitude, and already you're starting to see some changes. Okay, first of all, I need feeding. It needs to be fed to practice, something I can relate with. Hong Kong Attitude, though, talking point here, Shailin not on the Tracer, Shailin on the Diva, and it's going to be McCulfty on the Tracer and a Ting back on main tank.
So that's interesting to say the least, but we'll see how that kind of works out for them here. So they just kind of get out the gate and barrel towards the point here.
Also trying to avoid the forest spam for as long as they can, and for that, they're going to lose members.
Yeah, I don't know that it's worked. Unfortunately, those few just taking a bit too much on the way, and very decisive follow-up out of Chaos Theory to capitalize on it. So Hong Kong Attitude not quite getting in on that initial movement, and it does mean the point will go the way of Chaos Theory.
And it could have been difficult as well if Hong Kong Attitude did manage to sneak away into the cap. Chaos Theory would have to find an alternate angle to get in, but because they intercepted Hong Kong Attitude mid-rotation, cleaned up 2 kills, it was all in their favor, trying to go for the interception again. And
already, yeah, exactly. Ambition again, just getting the big damage on Hong Kong Attitude mid-rotation. That is exactly what the Pharaoh wants to do. It's that limited window where it can really convert for you. They do at least actually kill the Pharaoh, but the rest of Hong Kong Attitude has taken a dive here and actually res straight back in anyway, so...
Yep, and that's the thing, limited window, right? They would have had a limited window if the res did not come in. They would have been able to sneak past Ambition. That's not going to be the case, though. They don't really have enough firepower to deal with Ambition just yet. Rocket Barrage is nearly ready. Valkyrie is nearly ready in Hong Kong Attitude. They're still waiting.
And again, you just see the damage going in on some Mango, and already just looking to try and follow it up. Ambition, though, a little bit blocked out this time, but Shailin does pay for it with his mech, and they just pummel out a Ting as well. Once again, just maximizing on this limited window. McCulty even throwing out the pulse bomb there. Even if it had got kills, it probably wouldn't have counted for much. It's not like Hong Kong Attitude could have followed up on it at that point.
And I don't know about these role swaps Hong Kong Attitude are trying to try out, but currently it's not working out for them. Mui is at least on his preferred pick. He's back onto the Sombra. He has the EMP available after 2 to 3 failed fights. Finally, can we see some success?
Yeah, finally sort of getting themselves in the point, but going a much longer way around. They at least catch GNX, but now these tanks diving in to harass Hong Kong Attitude just keeps them out in the open for longer. Cap. That's more time Ambition spends pummeling them. Cap does go over though, so this time not quite the same tune, but the work is still being done by Chaos Theory, and they're not going into panic mode. They're still trying to keep control of the fight, rezzing in Legends so they have the sound barrier at their disposal. Hong Kong Attitude, they need to find an angle to commit this EMP. They actually need to close out this fight now, really, because Chaos Theory is still in it. Actually, catching one with the self-destruct may have just been enough, and now actually preserving that tool on the defense could really pay off for them.
Well, they were very much wanting to not use the EMP. You could see the way that Mui was playing. He had a couple of opportunities. Yeah. EMP would have probably been pretty ideal, but also at the same time, they were just committed to not wanting to use it at all. Now they have the EMP for the following fight. It was a big risk to not use it. This could have been an overtime 99% for Chaos Theory already.
Yeah.
That risk has paid off, at least in this instance.
But, of course, EMP or no, there's still some really powerful tools coming up on rotation for Chaos Theory.
I don't think he'll use it.
Yeah, I don't think he will again, which again is such a saving grace, because I was about to say, one EMP a full hold does not make, but getting that fight win and then being able to commit the EMP in a subsequent fight may just push them up to that 99%.
And I think the advantage here is because they're able to win without EMP, and by the way, they're kind of baiting Chaos Theory as well by threatening the EMP. When you see Mui in there, you're expecting it, you're getting a little bit scared. And he's waiting for Legend. When Legend wants to use a sound barrier, I can almost guarantee Mui will use the EMP there.
And now just kind of waiting for the inroad. Didn't quite connect the hack. Hong Kong Attitude off to a bad start. Oh, to the Rocket Barrage. And now Mui kind of punished for holding on to it for so many fights. Unfortunately, Hong Kong Attitude just no headway in that one. Can re-enter now, though, with an EMP, but they have to. This is now their last shot.
And they did actually manage to get enough percentage points to overtake Chaos Theory there, which is going to go a long way for them if they can win this fight, but it's going to be a big if. The EMP has to come out. There's no ifs or buts now. No point holding onto this. You will lose if you hold onto this. That means Mui, he's got to go. He's got to press the Q.
What they do have, though, is the self-destruct from Shailin that can force Ambition out of the sky a little bit. Mui looking for the angle. They might not even need it. They've just kind of got a full wrap around the threat of the EMP. Now finally committing it. Taking a bit of time to actually get the closeout on Ambition, but they are going to finally get it. They'd already zoned him off to the side, and that is Hong Kong Attitude well enough ahead in the fight. Resin, though, on Ambition, Chaos Theory aren't done yet, and they are willing to keep throwing members in on this point. As long as Saviour's alive and they can keep these tanks topped off, they've got legs in the fight, especially with Mui dead. The hit back is in now. Ambition at least able to do enough damage that the tanks close out on kills before he went down, and Hong Kong Attitude, all that connection with the abilities at long last, but not quite closing it out quick enough.
And Ambition was such a big problem for Hong Kong Attitude, right? Even when they finally did manage to kill him twice, by the way, twice he was rezzed back into action. And both those times when he was rezzed back into action, immediately impactful. When the Rocket Barrages comes out, immediately impactful. There was the one fight Hong Kong Attitude needed to win. It was the second to last one, actually, when the EMP was probably going to be used finally because Legend had used Sound Barrier. But the Rocket Barrage cleaned the Mui up before he had a chance to use it. That fight snowballed in Chaos Theory's favor, gave them the 99% overtime, put Hong Kong Attitude so far into the back foot that they could not complete the map.
Mango Giants bath 2 times a day. Just to keep skin sleekly? Silky, maybe?
Sleeky.
Sleek. I said sleekly. I don't... Like a cat? Like cats who move sleekly? I don't know. I feel like I'm missing a bit of context. But at any rate, Hong Kong Attitude set up on the point. Chaos Theory are the ones who have to kind of break into this one.
So far, it is Hong Kong Attitude with the better positioning, at least onto the point. Decent amount of energy charge, 100 already for Shai Lin, but they're being pushed out.
Yeah.
That's a big problem because the cap has unlocked.
I mean, they're giving respect to Chaos Theory, I think, and I think that is smart. Better that than lose members and lose the fight, but they do still need to find their way back in. It's taking time. Coalescence needs to be the entry point, but Legend's got one in his own right. Zesto being the first casualty, that big frontal shield lacking now for Chaos Theory, and Hong Kong Attitude looking to pounce, plus Grav potentially about to come up on rotation. Might not even need it, though, with Ambition over the edge. Chaos Theory do not have the numbers to stay in this fight, and the damage has just become a bit too much to bear. Hong Kong Attitude, they lost the point initially, but they win the fight, and look at the ultimates they were charging up in that time as well.
Really big ultimates now to combo with, and a lot to use against Chaos Theory as well, who unfortunately are not quite there, but what they do have is the EMP, and we saw this in our previous matchup between Bazaar and I'm just about to forget the name because I know we just did it against Marchi, where we didn't quite see the EMP come out in the summer. Not going to make the same mistake though.
Very quick, yeah, but instantly out with the sound barrier is CQB, and that means Chaos Theory not quite getting the leg up that they need. That's a bit of an even trade though in the grab, but now swinging the way of Hong Kong Attitude.
What is it with these Reapers? Both of them died instantly as soon as they...
Like they say die, and then they do.
Yeah, that's it. They're not kidding.
They're very accurate. Death Blossom, and Legend just kind of the last casualty on the point. Chaos Theory kind of taking a long time to back out of that one.
Algonetu still holding onto this cap now, about to overtake Chaos Theory by double the amount of percentage as well. It's a very short-lived stagger because this train is going to go off the edge. Chaos Theory, look, they had a pretty decent tour to break in. The EMP was mildly effective, but unfortunately not enough distance there. You did shut down McCulty's Death Blossom, but Ambition could not get his own one off, so it's just kind of like going pound for pound, but apparently going pound for pound, unfortunately, is not enough.
No, both Reinhardt's just kind of waiting for the opening, but it is a Ting with the Earth Shatter, so if they can connect that, then kind of changes things. But Chaos Theory doing a good job. They actually kill a Ting. They were already forcing Hong Kong Attitude back. I don't think a Ting really expected to die there. McCulty at a lot of risk to kill Ambition, but the point cap has gone the way of Chaos Theory anyway. Hong Kong Attitude still waiting for their re-entry opportunity.
Hong Kong Attitude was so invested in just getting this Earth Shatter down, they didn't have a plan B. As soon as they lost a Ting, they all fell apart themselves, and now Zest himself has his own Earth Shatter. Can he commit it this time around?
But the spanner in the works there as Mui has the EMP now. The Earth Shatter blocked just barely in the nick of time as the EMP came out, but it's still Hong Kong Attitude losing the members here. The EMP just not quite enough. GNX's own does a little bit more, but McCulty kind of has something else to say about it. The DPS is staying in the fight just a bit longer, has been what's kind of changed it here for Hong Kong Attitude after things actually a little rough off the top of it. That EMP not quite pulling the weight they really wanted, but same kind of has to be said for Chaos Theory's EMP.
We get to the Hong Kong Attitude side of things, reaching the 90% mark, but they do have a grab. The first one was good enough to win them a team fight. The second one now could be just as good. If they win a team fight, that's going to be the map.
And this is a pretty nice position to be in, but very nicely placed Not quite enough kills out of the Death Blossom though, and Ambition's got one of his own. Gets even less from it though, so neither of those dies being particularly accurate, but it does get Chaos Theory on the point, while Hong Kong Attitude were a bit separated out. That was not what they were looking for. Even so, a fight win is still a map win for them, and the EMP does need to get capitalized on to realize that. Ting nearly at the Earth Shatter as well. They're just kind of jostling for space. There's the connect, and it's a big one! And off the back of that, Chaos Theory all fall down. Literally and figuratively. And Hong Kong Attitude will be able to get the cap back their way. Overtime will tick down, and they will tie up Nepal.
And this time, the EMP not even good enough to save Chaos Theory. I guess I should say this time with a grain of salt, because previous times it was also not quite good enough to save Chaos Theory. But what was effective, Hong Kong Attitude and the Ting finally landing in Earth Shatter for so long, we could see he was trying to use it, and on the other side as well, Zest trying to use an Earth Shatter. Both Reinhardt's kind of whiffing them, but when it mattered the most, it was the Ting's one that won them the game. And still, interestingly enough, it's the Death Blossoms that I think have been the biggest failures in terms of ultimates.
Yeah.
That's been really interesting, especially when one was committed directly into a grab. That's that one's a real big thinker, I'm not too sure.
And I think the thing that was actually troublesome there, I mean, it's hard to just blame the Death Blossom alone, because you also do have to look at how that particular grab was positioned. Going ahead and taking a look at this replay, though, this was actually the initial, I think that was where a Ting was expecting to not die, but the grab that I was talking about, it was on an awkward corner. We may get a chance to revisit it later, because right now, Ambition back onto the Pharah, and this was a big proponent in their win on Village.
And we might see them get successful with it again, because Hong Kong Attitude are running the same composition they had on Village. And that composition had a tough time dealing with Ambition. Will they get a better chance to deal with them? He's still in the air, he's still uncontested.
And Hong Kong Attitude, not quite playing the ground game ideally. Ambition did get hacked out, but he's just fine on the ground for now. But it gives Hong Kong Attitude some breathing room. Breathing room which they have now used to try and play the ground game. Nearly got the knockoff on Mui, but not quite. Chaos Theory now able to get back on the point. That forces the issue as Hong Kong Attitude have to dive in. Just Lucio for Lucio, but Hong Kong Attitude really feeling the hurt. Getting a couple of trades back, but Chaos Theory still kind of have the control right now. Reses can come in for them, but they may not even need them here. Might actually consider committing one now. They haven't quite secured it yet, and the Ting is still kind of in the mix here. Ultimate's being committed out of Hong Kong Attitude now, and with Ambition down, Chaos Theory are kind of lacking in the damage department. Distrain barely able to remech, but they've kind of lost the control that they had at the point now. It's just kind of scrapping. It is a solid bar fight now.
And neither team has completely capped it out just yet. EMP's even coming out from Mui. You got to think this has to be the cap. You got to think this has to be the team fight win finally, and that's got to be one of the longer first fights that we've seen so far in Contenders, especially on Nepal here as well. And for Hong Kong Attitude, when they eventually had the ultimates come out to play, Mango drove the Transcendence, much better than Savior with the Valkyrie. You definitely take the Transcendence in that example, and eventually Ambition can't out-damage that one. Chaos Theory had to back off.
And the fight went on long enough for that EMP to become a factor as well. It was charging very, very slowly, but Chaos Theory really wasting no time in this. Pulse Bomb just kind of casually tossed in, though, by McUlti. They've already got the conversion on Savior. Legend as well, looking set to go down. Indeed, he will just drop. And not enough back. Chaos Theory trying to be quick, trying to be decisive, but Hong Kong Attitude just a little bit too quick on the trigger, reading Chaos Theory's move.
And this is the part where, unfortunately, Afara is just not very good. You can't retake effectively if you get caught in this small little room here, and Hong Kong Attitude are doing what Bazaar could not against Machi. They are holding close, they are holding aggressively, and they have the ults to continue doing so.
Chaos Theory in their own right, though, are cycling into some decent ultimates, but now, once again, going to be contending with an EMP. So Chaos Theory is still trying to break out of this one. Transcendence from Mango Jai, and Distrain just kind of trying to make space for this team to at least get going, and they do get going. Oh, no! Straight into his own face, not what Ambition was looking for. Now the EMP on top of that is just kind of insult to injury as Chaos Theory just slowly getting picked to bits on the point itself. Surpassing now 75%. Hong Kong Attitude really just one defense away from closing it out.
And outside of that very first attack from Chaos Theory, the opening fight of the game on Sanctum, it's been really tough for Chaos Theory to break back in. Ambition, knowing the fire is just not good enough to break out of that small room, has to go into something like a Reaper, knows that Hong Kong Attitude like to hold close. Reaper's going to be effective here. Also, Reaper doesn't care about being hacked.
Just trying to get onto the point, though. That's really the key thing. They need to get the presence, and Hong Kong Attitude know it. They force the issue. They throw the self-destruct in so that no one can really contest. Zest too close. That forces the res out of Savior, but they are at least even in the numbers now. GNX not quite connecting, and they lose the other tank of the pair, plus Zest again, as the damage from Hong Kong Attitude coming in from all sides is just insurmountable for these tanks. The gong will ring, the overtime will tick down, and Hong Kong Attitude will win Nepal.
And that final map on Sanctum as well was much more decisive from Hong Kong Attitude. They won every single fight eventually anyway. But you gotta look at the other two maps. Those were decent maps for Chaos Theory, but almost in similar fashion to Bazaar. Good start, but good start without cleaning it up and without finishing the game, and getting that victory at the end of the day is unfortunately not good enough. You have to get that result. Getting that one win on Village was good. Getting a close win on Shrine was okay. Not really good because they didn't win. And then getting 0-100 on Sanct is unfortunately just a real shame of a way to end it.
And if you want to draw the parallel, that's pretty much exactly how the same map just went between Bazaar and Machi, right? Where Bazaar won the first one, and the second one came really close. In fact, in that case, it was a full 99-99, and then the last one was 100-0 shutout in favor of Machi, who clinched the map. And now we're seeing that, this time being Hong Kong Attitude, 1-0 up in the series.
And it's, you know, are we getting to the same stage now? Will we go into map number 2? If it's Hollywood, then cool, it's the Hollywood prophecy once again. If it's Numbani, I don't know, maybe we can start a new prophecy on Numbani as well. Numbani's actually been interesting because we've seen like some real crazy stuff
So it's actually the opposite of Hollywood.
But we don't see that happen in Hollywood. In Hollywood, it's just shutouts. So.
Yeah, Hollywood seems to be the one where not only is it a shutout, it's then kind of the beginning of the end. Like the team that loses it just kind of like slides off the deep end, unfortunately. But Numbani is kind of the opposite. Even when teams have gone on...
choose Numbani.
Yeah, exactly. Even when teams have then gone on to lose the series after the Numbani match, it's at least been close, and sometimes even a win for the team that goes on to lose it. Like, it's just, it's really bizarre, like, how consistent each of those maps is and kind of living up to that. I think
our tinfoil hats are gleaming at this point. They are.
Have we seen a full cap on Hollywood?
I
don't believe we have.
Not too sure. I'm pretty sure every Hollywood has just been a full hold at some stage.
I don't even know if we've been to point C.
Yeah, haven't. No, maybe once.
Maybe once.
I'm struggling to remember right now. It's been a decent amount of matches, but either way, look, somebody's got to do it at some point. And the thing is, because most teams who win the first map then get to choose to defend on the second map, which so far has been a lot of Hollywood. First of all, though, before we get any further, Jokebot, who is actually the coach of the team and kind of the sub of the team, coming in for Legends. So let's see how that shapes things up for this Chaos Theory team, who, by the way, again, they've come close, and maybe they need that X Factor to just push them over the edge.
Jokebot is a name I have not heard for a very long time.
But one you remember.
Yeah, one I remember, because it's such a great name, right? Last time we saw this guy play, I can't even remember the name of the team, but it was way back in Summer Series. He was one of the teams in one of the Southeast Asian teams that made it in. So that's, I mean, this guy has, you know, been around the scene for a while. So we do also have to at least consider that as much as we talk about this being a new team. And I wonder whether this is maybe going to be something that changes things up enough for Chaos Theory here.
Well, I'd like to personally see how the macro changes up, because the Lucio role has traditionally been a shot calling role. On top of that, Jokebot also comes in as, again, kind of like a half coach, half sub here.
And half comedian.
Apparently. And how many more halves?
I mean, Jokebot,
and half bot?
Yeah.
There's 4 halves.
That'll be a rough day when the comedians get replaced by robots.
Yeah.
That's when we know we lost.
Oh, yeah, the robots are taking jobs.
Yeah. It's like, because like you sort of look at some jobs, you're like, I think some of them are safe. Like I think maybe like actors and stuff. I like to think my job is relatively safe. I like to think that a robot can't do what I do. But
in Hollywood, there's a car who is an actor. I know. Say the actors are not safe.
I know, but that's the thing is like the moment we get to the point where the comedians get replaced by robots, that's it. Humans lost. You can have it, Skynet.
Yeah. Skynet.
It's all yours.
At that point. Oh boy, and we'll see sort of moving things back on track ever so slightly.
Thank you.
Hong Kong, you're welcome. If Hong Kong Attitude, I'm going to clean this one up, but it is going to be at map number 2. Chaos Theory do not want to fulfill the Hollywood prophecy. They are going to defy it by going to Numbani instead. The map where crazy things have happened so far in Pacific.
And who knows what we'll see. Just see a brand new hero.
Yeah, you might see Shaolin on Diva again, like,
what wacky stuff.
What is going on?
I see Shaolin on Doomfist.
Oh, he's good on Doomfist.
He actually is. Actually, I believe it was...
No, he's very good on Doomfist.
I believe it was Numbani where we actually saw the crazy Doomfist out of Bello.
Hanamura.
And before that on Numbani.
No, he brought it out on Hanamura specifically to turn it back around.
I'm going to contest that to my dying day. I'm almost certain it was on Numbani, but we'll have to settle that score another time when we can go back and watch the VOD. Because the score being settled on your screens right about now is between Hong Kong Attitude and Chaos Theory, and the score as it stands is one map up for Hong Kong Attitude. So Chaos Theory are kind of hoping that this Numbani pick, where crazy things happen, will be the place that they turn it around.
There's two ways I'm reasoning this in my head right now, and it goes, first of all, McCulty's got to be a very good DPS to take the Tracer spot off of Shaolin, who's been exceptionally good on Hong Kong Attitude so far. And secondly, Hong Kong Attitude must really be having some issues on their Flex Tank role if they believe that so far their Flex Tank players have not been doing a good enough job. And so far it's been a Ting on Flex Tank, and for them to say, okay, put a Ting back on main tank, whoops, then who plays Flex? Well, Shailin's our next best Flex Tank, better put him in, then something's got to be going on there as well.
Yeah.
They don't feel comfortable running anyone else, and Shailin's got to be there, but if that's the case, man, I'm gonna miss his DPS, just saying.
Yeah, I mean, me too, right? And I mean, I don't wanna sort of naysay McCulty on the Tracer or anything, but certainly I haven't seen him kind of pulling Shaolin levels of weight. He can't bench as much just yet. The other thing as well is we do actually have to consider that Hong Kong Attitude have had a different lineup each week of competition so far. So there could even just be that this team is still just trying to find out what the optimal combination of things is. But you'd also kind of hope that by week 3, they would have kind of worked that out already. And I have to say, I didn't notice anything in particular wrong with either of the two lineups they've run so far. I don't know that I see the need for the change.
Well, that's why I think the Flex Tank reasoning has to be the one that works here.
Surely.
Because Floyd Q, you'd be happy to see on main tank again. I think he did a very, very good job on the Winston. Secondly, actually, to be quite honest, though, that maybe they don't quite rate his Reinhardt, which could be a problem, or his Orisa.
Yeah.
His Winston, though, has been pretty good. So he could be playing the Winston, but then you look on the Flex Tank side, that means that a Ting has to play Flex Tank, or if you don't want a Ting on Flex Tank because you don't think he's good enough, then Shaolin is playing the Flex Tank, but then you lose a Ting from the roster entirely.
Yeah.
So maybe part of it is you don't want to lose a Ting from the roster entirely, you need to keep him on the squad for various reasons that could come from leadership or shot calling or whatever.
Or he's just really handsome. You know, we talked about how handsome this team is, maybe he is the most handsome. But that all aside, I kind of like the idea of that actually being like the advertisement for Numbani, like the travel and tourism board is like, come to Numbani, where crazy things happen.
Yeah, that would not convince me to go to Numbani.
Oh, it would convince me. And it's convinced Chaos Theory as well. They really want to visit that museum. They're like, get off the cart, Hong Kong Attitude. We are in a hurry because they have absolutely blasted them to bits. The follow-up being there as well. Didn't quite get the closeout of Mui and a Ting though, so Hong Kong Attitude can actually reset, but they could actually still get some late follow-up kills here, or maybe overcommit. And now actually Hong Kong Attitude should be able to recommit to this fight after they top off these tanks.
Well, the thing is, Chaos Theory had to keep 2 to 3 members to cap to make sure they got that one tick. They managed to get at least 2, but the respawners from Hong Kong Attitude start to flood in now. They also start to flood out as they start losing members. Well, there are trades.
Yeah, you've got to remember that GNX is only really just rejoining the fight along with Savior. So actually, as much as that was only a Ting on the point to begin with, he knew he was probably going to die, but he would get the rest of his 5 players in. And that actually still put Hong Kong Attitude in a 5 versus 4. They really weighed up the numbers there, and that was the right decision. And as you can see, it has paid off.
96.1% is ever so close to finishing off that cap. Now Chaos Theory can complete this attack. They just need to get a very good Dragon Blade, and if they can get one before Mango Giant can counter with his own Transcendence, that has to be the timing window.
But there is also a window here for Hong Kong Attitude. Yeah, I was going to say the Nano Visor not quite getting the mileage just yet. 1 for 1, not ideal, and not really fighting on the point as much as they would like. Maybe would have been better served committing that one to a Ting, but all's well that ends well, it seems, because they are still getting the pressure on Chaos Theory, who are holding on to some tools that they seem kind of hesitant to commit here, but with Ambition going down, those tools not really a factor anymore, and the corner trap on Savior means that Hong Kong Attitude should hold fast once again.
And as the respawners come in for both sides, Ambition, we are still waiting to see this Dragon Blade, and he may need to use this. The Nano Visor has been used already. That's not going to be a tool for Hong Kong Attitude. Oculti might be the clutch with the Pulse Bomb, but so far it's been kills for Chaos Theory, and Hong Kong Attitude do not look like they can hold on.
Yeah, re-entry from GNX was kind of the X factor for Chaos Theory, and Hong Kong Attitude, the corner trap was good. They had so many things going for them, but I actually think at the end, they thought they'd maybe routed Chaos Theory more than they had. It took a long time to get each of those kills, and Hong Kong Attitude ended up quite split up when Chaos Theory re-entered.
And now we have 5 ultimates nearing on 6 for Chaos Theory as the cart begins its toll underway through the streets of Mumbai. Hong Kong Attitude, though, Mui now changing from Soldier onto the Sombra. Mango Jai waiting for this Transcendence to come into play, and he's going to need it now more than ever because if Chaos Theory can snowball, they will easily get this cap.
All right. Just looking for the window. Chaos Theory, they should have all the tools they need to kind of crack the fight open. Getting a ting without using any ultimates pretty nice for them, yeah. Well, yeah, use Valkyrie, that is fair. They're still keeping the pressure on though, so this is just free payload space before they even have to go for that big fight with the Dragon Blade.
The thing is though, when they have the big fight with the Dragon Blade, Mango Jai is now ready to counter. The timing window was that you have to get this win with the Dragon Blade before the appropriate counters are available for Hong Kong Attitude, who themselves now nano boost directly onto, I believe, a ting. Fights on.
Yeah, straight into the thick of it, but they already have thrown out the Transcendence as well. Look, it's paying off, but Chaos Theory is a very late Dragon Blade from Ambition. He does actually get Mango, but there's no team to follow up on it. Yeah, that really kind of baffles me. They just got so much out of Hong Kong Attitude. They got the Transcendence, they got the Nano Boost, they got the EMP too. They didn't need to commit anything. They could have pocketed them and just come back in with the next fight with a massive advantage. Instead, now it's Hong Kong Attitude with the advantage on the defense.
Well, the problem is they were just being too conservative when you should have been really pulling the trigger, when you should have been pressing your foot down on the neck of Hong Kong Attitude, when you had them in your grasp, when they were on the losing end of these fights, when Chaos Theory was so far ahead of the macro game. They just failed to do it. The Dragon Blade came out, it was an utter failure. Mui had farmed an EMP, it took him a while, but he managed to get it in the long time it took him. Chaos Theory sat around.
And this is now a situation where Hong Kong Attitude can kind of get the snowball in their favor. And I guarantee you, they will press the advantage. They will keep the foot on the neck of Chaos Theory. And you already see that here. They are not hesitating in committing that Primal Rage out from a ting, getting the dive on, getting the self-destruct from Shaolin so that he can remech and stay in the fight. They are willing to throw in these ultimates, and look at what they're now coming back up on.
And it's the defensive ultimate rotation for Hong Kong Attitude that they can themselves snowball quite effectively now. EMP into other ultimates, back into EMP, and now Mango Giant, even defensively, with the Transcendence just about ready. A Valkyrie coming up online for Savior, but I don't think a Valkyrie's going to be enough.
Very quick EMP actually out of Mui, and they do get the closeout on Savior, so it worked out for them. That kind of 1-2 punch at the DPS is paying off.
Chaos Theory just losing a lot of ground now. The cart is slipping backwards, and what was once going to be a probably very quick cap for them onto B is now just taking a long time, already using the res as well. Less than 1 minute to go.
They do have the ultimates coming up for themselves though, and the EMP not being a factor does at least help, especially Ambition here in the sky. But again, there is that Transcendence. It's a big factor. You're already in with the Nano, and Jokebot is dead. Shaolin just getting the pressure on Ambition. Wonderful play there, recognizing that by boosting the Diva, they would actually have enough damage to deal with Ambition. And once again, Hong Kong Attitude so cheap on these defensive fights.
The thing is, he's playing a flex tank Shaolin, but when you give him the nano boost, he might as well be another DPS, and we already know how effective he is on a DPS. He's a flying tracer at that point. And for Hong Kong Attitude, they got a lot of tools now. Primal Rage coming up online as well. Another EMP could be in the works. Chaos Theory running out of tools, running out of time.
Oh no, they didn't spot a ting on the high ground. That means Jokebot's dead, no sound barrier, already at a numbers disadvantage, and slow to commit this. I mean, if the Rocket Barrage had come out straight away, it maybe could have been a savior for them, but no, it didn't, and that meant the EMP was able to connect. Now it's all just close out from Hong Kong Attitude, following up these last few kills. Heck, they've even got ultimates to commit if they desperately need it. I bet Shailin's just going to throw out the self-destruct for style points at this juncture, because they don't even need it to win the fight. The fight is already won.
And Matt, I gotta say, welcome to Numbani, where crazy things don't happen.
Yeah, we didn't get the point B cap, you're quite right. Well, actually, I think the crazy thing is that they had a really great point A push, but Chaos Theory didn't quite close it out. And then they had the opportunity to get a really big advantage on the streets phase once they were finally there. Didn't press that advantage. I mean, you can say that really twice they had it all and then just barely fell short. Or, you know, clutch defeat from the jaws of victory, if you will.
And that's the thing, right? Because the first time around, they had enough, I guess, gas in the tank to clean up A, get that recap. They were 96.1% capped on through. 2/3, they just needed to get that little bit extra. But going on to B, you can't repeat that twice. You can't have a second round of nearly there, because we've said this many times tonight. I feel like a broken record at this stage. Bazaar and Machi, again, for Bazaar, nearly there is not good enough. And now for Chaos Theory, nearly there is not good enough.
And I even said it as that defense kind of started for Hong Kong Attitude on point B. You know, where Chaos Theory failed to press the advantage, failed to play the macro game, use the ultimates that they had to keep the momentum, keep the snowball. Hong Kong Attitude, they are too experienced a team to make the same mistake, and that's kind of exactly it in action. The moment they were in that point, Chaos Theory did not have another window of opportunity. Hong Kong Attitude always pressed the advantage, always shut it down.
I will say one thing though, and there's like, I guess, some little bit of silver lining here, and that has to be that Numbani is not quite over just yet. We have not left Numbani International Airport, and crazy things could still happen. It is Hong Kong Attitude against Chaos Theory. Chaos is in their name.
Exactly. Attitude is in Hong Kong Attitude's name.
Yep, so is Hong Kong.
Yeah, some really, and also there's Theory in that mix as well.
Yeah.
But on the whole,
let's see Chaos practical.
Yeah. Good pick on GNX though, and that kind of opens the door already for Hong Kong Attitude. I was going to say, Chaos Theory, they kind of need a full hold here, but I mean, GNX does at least get a chance to rejoin the fight, but he's not exactly set up. He's not able to flank around those back liners, and that means Mui just kind of gets to come in here for free.
Right now, though, at least Zest is, okay, just about to say he's doing a great job of body blocking.
Oh, though, Shaolin in a bit too deep, a bit too quick without the follow-up there. And Hong Kong Attitude were trying to get a dive in, force Chaos Theory off the point, and then take that space for themselves. But unfortunately, it's not quite happened. Do get one trade back on Zest thanks to the well-landed Bionade, but honestly, it's not looking good for Hong Kong Attitude here. Zest just gets res back in. These members are very, very low. CQB has got a long walk back, but now Chaos Theory aren't really capitalizing either.
Well, this is a kills now coming in for Hong Kong Attitude. A couple of pretty decent ones. Chaos Theory, good response.
Oh.
Now, that could have gone very well for Hong Kong Attitude. Look at the ultimates. Pulse Bomb just came up. Dragon Blade just came up.
Yeah.
If either of those members survived, we could have seen a big turnaround. Chaos Theory, though, they got the right kills at the right time, shut down the correct members, now themselves about to hit some ultimates that they desperately need. This defense could still be very much underway.
It's weird, they spent so long not committing to the fight, not closing it out when Hong Kong Attitude weren't at full strength. Then when Hong Kong Attitude came back in, started getting kills, started making it dangerous, that's when Chaos Theory suddenly came alive.
Chaos Theory.
That is the theory. That's it right there. What a stick on Mango, but trade back on Ambition, pretty nice. This should still be Chaos Theory kind of picking this one up. CQB has really got his work cut out for him if he wants to get the res in. And as I say that as well, the res coming back in on Ambition anyway. CQB now dead without being able to res Mui or Mango Giant. Mui, as it turns out, decided to swap off. So Chaos Theory once again the hold. And I mean, hey, we said it had to happen on a first hold. They might just do it.
The Chaos Theory at this stage could very much be a full hold on A of Numbani. It doesn't matter that we didn't cap on B, because if we get the full A hold, that's where the win comes in. The Chaos Theory still got ultimates, big ones too. Hong Kong Attitude changing compositions now. When Mui gets this EMP, it is very likely it will already be overtime for Chaos Theory's defense.
And that is a somewhat patient play out of Hong Kong Attitude, but patience requires time. Zest, though, getting hacked out
Flying
with
Tracer.
the right click. Yeah, There it is again. You put the nano boost on Shylin, and suddenly you're a 3 DPS comp just about. And the follow-up there onto Distrain and Savior. Jokebot too late with that Transcendence. Maybe even should have held it for Chaos Theory re-entering onto the point. But this is now a third for Hong Kong Attitude. And Chaos Theory still losing members, still in disarray. Haven't even been able to pull back and reset. But a Ting actually may be the 1 and 2 deep now. Needs to get out, but Ambition not quite finding the sight line. The point cap goes over.
And look how many ultimates are still available for Chaos Theory. This is what you'd like to have seen committed into that defense. Hong Kong Attitude won that without even using EMP. The plan was that for Hong Kong Attitude, they were willing to go in the overtime. They were willing to bank on this EMP to get the A cap because they were, to be quite frank, getting somewhat desperate. But all they needed really was nano boost onto Shylin. Do that again.
Yeah, and what they've got now is that EMP to snowball the offense. Exactly what Chaos Theory themselves failed to do. And you already see Mui looking for that position. They know that that's their win condition. Good self-destruct though. Out of Shylin to catch Zest. The trade back is there. Ambition in position. At least get the kills they need to stabilize for now. So Hong Kong Attitude can still snowball this.
I was just going to say that while we were watching Mui's POV there, that don't underestimate Mui's ability to not use the EMP, as we've seen on the poll previously. Don't underestimate him to say, you know what, it's not going to happen.
Funnily enough, Hong Kong Attitude, I would say, are one of the best teams at using the Sombra in general. Have been using it since back when supports were played. It was Mango Giant. There's the commit now from Mui with the connection, gets Distrain. Zest was at least able to Primal Rage, preserves the health total, and now they're getting the trade back. So Hong Kong Attitude not quite out of the woods just yet, but they're still on the payload. They've got the tank presence here. They've got the Transcendence from Mango Giant to keep them topped off. Chaos Theory, the ones just constantly having to pull back, heal up, pull back again, heal up more, and ultimately they're going to run out of space to pull back into.
And that's the thing, right? Because every time they pull back and heal, the cart moves forward ever so slightly, and now it's not slight movement, it's just about one more corner to go. Chaos Theory need to find so many kills on both the Trans and the Valkyrie, but so far, they're losing members.
And the moment it runs out, he dies once again. Jokebot maybe wishing he had that for when there were more members to be saving with it, because now they're in desperation mode. They are in damage control, and they don't have any tools to actually do it with. Hong Kong Attitude did not let up the pressure. It was exactly what we said. They know that once they got you in that position where you are down on the ground on your back, they put the foot on the throat, and they are not afraid to press down.
That is the Hong Kong Attitude, for anyone that was curious.
It's also the Chaos Theory. So we saw both in action.
That's the thing.
And as it turns out, the Hong Kong Attitude is superior.
Well, I mean, that's because your attitude, it's just a thing you passively got. But a theory is a theory, and you gotta actually do it. But the thing here now is that what I gotta say for Chaos Theory as the team is that A defense, to be quite fair, was pretty good.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say it again, but pretty good is not good enough.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We can't really look at it and go, yeah, that could have gone the distance, and say that that's good enough. Like you said, it isn't good enough. They have to start going the distance if they want to be getting at least map wins, if not series wins. And that's exactly what they have been lacking thus far. You've almost got to say the same on the other side of this coin. I know we've drawn a lot of parallels between this and the Matchy Bazaar series, but you've also got to kind of see that same thing of, you know, almost there isn't good enough. Bazaar were kind of in that same situation. We're saying Hong Kong Attitude, they want to look to 4-0 this. Chaos Theory definitely need to not let that happen. Well, right now, it's kind of going one of those ways and not the other.
And the thing is, Chaos Theory have not found their first map win now, and they're running out of time to get it, at least in this specific matchup. I think the one big difference is, and to go back to that parallel between Matchy Bazaar, the one big difference, at least I'm seeing, is that Chaos Theory's their win conditions so far have been a lot clearer, and you got to go back to the Nimbarning A, because I think the A hold was indeed possible, or it was within arm's reach. They just had to go out and grab it. They had Hong Kong Attitude where they wanted them, which is to say, Hong Kong Attitude, they need to go to Sombra. They're waiting for Sombra's EMP. They just had to get past the Nano Boost and Shylin. I can't believe that that was the thing that they could handle.
Exactly, of all things, especially when they were holding on to the tools that they were, right? They could have been set up such that all those members that were piling in were doing so past a tactical visor, or even better, set up Ambition where they're not expecting him. Catch them with a tactical visor from behind. But it's over, and they can't really change it.
All said and done, the first two maps are now out of the way. The rest of the series still yet to come, though, between Hong Kong Attitude and Chaos Theory. So right after the break, that's what's going to happen.